Hi, in this video, we're going to talk about how you harden off your plants while you're working full time. As we talked about in part 4 of the Absolute Beginner Garden, we talked about how the hardening off process, what that was, and how you went about doing that. But this is challenging when you are at work for 8 hours a day, plus however long your commute is. It's not like you can run home and, or at least for most of us, you can't run home and be like, my plants have been outside for 6 hours. It's time for them to come back inside. And most employers are just, they're not going to be understanding of this. And so this poses a little bit of a challenge of how to properly harden off your plants while you are working full time. So this is just what I do, the process that I go through to get my plants hardened off so that I can get them transplanted in the ground. The date that I like to shoot for transplanting is May 1st. Typically, there aren't any frosts or freezes that happen after that date for the area that I'm at in Georgia. And so it's a great time to transplant. It's not that a frost or freeze can't happen in May. It has, but it's kind of rare. And so it's just a great time to do that. So I back up from May 1st back 2 weeks. And that's when I'm going to start hardening off my plants. And I like to take that 2-week process because of the way that I do this. I really need that time to get my plants used to being outdoors. So the setup that I have is I have this back patio, and it is a sheltered, so it doesn't get the strong winds that you would get out in the yard. It's also it gets morning sun, and then it has afternoon shade, and I can work it so that I can make it a sort of full shade conditions for my plants as they're starting this process of getting used to being outside. Um, I like to start like the night before that I'm going to do my hardening off. I get everything ready. I put my seedlings in trays so that I can just take the whole tray, put it outside, and then hopefully this will only take 2 or 3 trips depending on how many seedlings I decided to start. The trays are also good because, as we talked about in part 4 of the Absolute Beginner Garden, you do not want things to get dried out. So when those days come that they're going to be outside while I'm at work and I can't monitor them, I can put some water in the tray, just a little bit. And that way, as they get dried out when they're out in the wind, because these are small pots and they get dried out very quickly, they can absorb that water, and I don't have to worry about them getting dried out and killing my plants. So the trays are a great help. So the night before, I gotten all my seedlings ready, and then Monday morning, I like to start my hardening off process on a Monday morning. I'm going to look at that outside temperature, and if it's close to 50 degrees, ideally a little warmer, I'm going to take my trays and I'm going to stick them out on the patio, and they're going to be outside for however long it takes me to get to work, get ready for work. And if it's too cold, if it's too much below that 50-degree mark, I'm just going to forego this particular step. And then right before I go to drive off to go to work, I'm going to take those seedlings back inside. And then as soon as I get home from work, again, this is still Monday. As soon as I get home from work, I'm going to take those seedlings back outside. They're going to be on the patio, and they're going to be out there until sunset. And then I'm going to bring them back inside. And I'm going to do this Monday through Friday, because again, I'm not there during the day, so I got to make sure that my seedlings are starting to experience some outdoor temperatures, but it's still too soon for them to be outside for a full 8 hours. So this way they start to experience that outdoors, hopefully in the morning as well as in the evening. Saturday is when things really start to pick up. Ideally, my Saturday conditions are going to be a cloudy day. It would be great if it was like a drizzly day during the morning and then just cloudy the rest of the day, because that way I could stick my seedlings further on the very edge of the patio where they could experience that drizzle, experience a little more wind, but it's still cloudy, so they're not getting full sun. That's the, oh, and the temperatures would be kind of like in the 60s. That's the ideal. Rarely do you get that. So usually what's going to happen is on a Saturday, they're going to be I'm going to have a shaded portion of my patio where they're going to be in full shade. And they're going to be out there on the patio for, my goal would be 6 hours. And again, this is really dependent upon temperatures. If it's going to be too cold, I don't want them to experience that much cold for that long. So I really have to pay attention to what the temperature is doing for that day. And then after that 6 hour period, they're going to come back inside. Sunday, I have to keep in mind Monday's coming and I'm going to be at work all day. So Sunday, my goal is to get them used to being outside for about 8 hours. So they're going to be sort of more in the middle portion of my patio. So they will get morning sun. And I guess I should give you my ideal Sunday for hardening off. Ideally, it's going to be sunny to partly cloudy. That way they can experience the morning sun, but they still have that afternoon shade. And so ideally, they're going to be in sort of the middle portion of the patio so they can have that morning sun and then that afternoon shade. And I'm also going to put water in their little containers just a little bit so that as they are out there for 8 hours and the wind and the sun and things get dried out, they can absorb that water and stay moist but not soggy. Because that water should be absorbed. The pan should be completely dry by the time I go to move them back inside. I don't want any extra water, so it's just a little bit of water in there to keep them moist but not soggy. So Sunday, my goal is for them to be in part sun, part shade for roughly 8 hours, because Monday, they are going to be outside for the length of time that I'm at work. So depending on what the morning temperature is, I'm going to either put them outside close to when I get up or close to when I leave to go to work. So then they'll be more in the middle part of that patio area so that they get that some of the morning sun, probably sort of mid depart back. That way they aren't experiencing too much sunlight at once, but then they'll get the shade for the most part of the day. And that's regardless of what the sun weather, if it's going to be sunny, partly cloudy, whatever, during the day. And then they're going to be out there until sunset. Again, provided that the temperatures aren't going to be too chilly, no random freeze or anything like that coming in. And then I'm going to be doing that Monday through Friday during this second week. But throughout each day, I'm going to start moving them closer and closer to the edge of the patio where they will start experiencing full sun conditions by the end of that week. So that second week, they are slowly making their way up to the very edge of the patio and then eventually off the patio to where they will be experiencing all the wind, whatever Mother Nature is throwing at them in terms of sun, wind, rain. And then also probably Thursday, Friday, if the temperatures are close to that 50-degree mark, they are going to start experiencing staying outside all night. And then, of course, because they're in their trays, I can add some water to the pots. That way they stay moist throughout the day while I'm at work. And of course, each day as I come home, I'm going to check on my plants. I'm going to see, do they need any water in their trays or are they okay? And That is basically what I do for hardening off. Because at the end of this 2-week process, hopefully they're being outside for 24 hours if the weather has cooperated. And then May 1st has come around and it's time to plant. I like to do that whatever weekend May 1st happens around. That way I can plant my seedlings on a Saturday. And so that's the typical thing of what I do, how I go about hardening off my plants while working full time. I hope this has been a help to you. Be sure to check out any more information of just tips, tricks of how to go about gardening, whether you're working full time or you're able to devote all of your attention to it. Uh, Hope you have a wonderful day.